Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Alamodome Audible podcast. It brings me pain to say that for the very last time. Oh, ouch. This is your host, Jared, joined by my co-host, Adrian. And we've got some tough but bittersweet news to share with you guys today.
Indeed. Indeed, that is true, Jared. Yes, after operating under Alamodome Audible, no affiliation with the Alamodome, for 8 years now, since 2015. Last month, we were served with a notice from the city of San Antonio that we must cease and desist using the trademarked Alamodome name as our podcast. And it's, man, it hurts so bad, Jared. It really does.
It does, man. We have poured so much of our lives into this thing.
Yeah.
More than anyone other than our spouses, I think, will ever realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to swallow. It really is.
Yeah, Alamodome Audible has definitely been a very defining element of my 20s, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was 22, so I graduated. It's pretty incredible to think about. And it's our home stadium. It's where our team plays. It's not just UTSA's home stadium. It's our city stadium.
Yeah, it's a symbol of the city of San Antonio. It's one of the defining landmarks of the city.
1,000% it is. 1,000% it is. The Alamodome. Actually, when the Commanders were playing, I got a text from my dad. He's like, "What's the name of that dang stadium again?" I was like, "The Alamodome, Dad. It's the name of our podcast."
Yeah, man, it's been 8 really strong years. And I mean, I know the two of us never dreamed that this thing would grow into what it is now, where it's like a legitimate business. I have to stop and remind myself that sometimes, like when we get served cease and desist letters or have legal disputes or whatever. I mean, it's just different than two of us on SoundCloud recording these really rough sounding MP3s and uploading them out into the universe, So,
but you know what, Jared? Every time we sit down and record an episode, it feels exactly the same way that it did 2015, 2016.
We're just a lot better at it.
Yeah, sure. But it still feels at times like when I'm sitting here on the Zoom call with Jared and we're talking, like it feels like we're making another SoundCloud MP3 for like none of that's changed. Now, what we do outside of our recording has changed a hell of a lot, and compounded. But something about that pure, just you guys talking about UTSA football, that's never left. And I think that perspective is sort of kept us somewhat oblivious to the monumental growth that UTSA has experienced as a football program, as an institution and university. And also, as an educational institution, not just an athletics institution. UTSA's growth has just been incredible. And us, right, we're direct beneficiaries of that. We have more listens on our podcast every single week. And I think maybe not in 2015, but maybe around, I don't know, 17 or 18, one of those times we were like building out new logos and graphics. I think it was all on the back of our mind. One day this might happen. And as the years have gone by, when we have our team meetings, it's been a topic that doesn't come up every time, but it's a topic that we've discussed more than once. Like, hey, if and when, what are we going to do? And that day finally came. Jared got that email.
When we started Alamodome Audible, we really didn't know much about trademarks and copyright laws and all that boring corporate BS. I mean, we were pretty much college students. I think I was just out of school. You were still in it or had just graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a little bit of a taste of it with the whole Coker Chronicles debacle, where UTSA via the UT system sent us a cease and desist letter to stop using Coker in our title because they didn't like us, frankly. But I always saw that more as just like a personal spat that like Lynn Hickey was not a fan of our content.
Sure.
But I never really thought of it as like a branding thing, right? And so like when we started Alamodome Audible, we just thought it was a cool name. It had alliteration. It was easy to remember.
Got to stick with the alliteration. Got to have it.
Right. Yeah, I got to do it. No brand's complete without it. But then, throughout the years, Adrian, I don't think it was as early as 2017 when we started having that thought in the back of our mind. Like for
Sure.
me, it was a little bit more recent than that.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
we
probably
did
so.
know. Yeah, once we learned that the Alamodome was like a trademark, which a lot of that stuff so surprises me. We'll talk about some more stuff that we learned later on. But yeah, I mean, we knew that there was a risk or a chance that could happen, but it was all just very sudden, man, very sudden.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that it was like we didn't want to talk about it too much, even in our little team calls, because you like don't speak it into existence, right?
Right.
Let's just pretend it's not there. Maybe if we pretend Alamodome isn't trademarked, that they'll never find us. And so we always sort of evaded that conversation, and that we knew we could only evade it for so long.
Right.
And so
yeah, when we registered as an LLC, we intentionally did not register as Alamodome Audible. So this would have been in what, 2021 or 22?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
2020, 21.
Yeah, because we knew that there was like the trademark risk out there, right? So when the city reached out to us and told us stop this immediately, we did try to negotiate some kind of agreement where we could continue operating as is, like with a big disclaimer on our site or whatever. They weren't having it, but like we didn't really fight it too hard because we knew from a legal standpoint that they were correct. Even though I still to this day don't think anyone has ever confused us with an official Alamodome podcast blog extension of any sort whatsoever. We don't even come up on Google when you search for Alamodome. I get it, right? It's people's job to manage this stuff. So, it's nice that like, while it was a shock when it happened, we had already discussed it. So it wasn't so much of a gut punch as it could have been.
What Jared's trying to say is don't go at Cosa, don't go at the Alamodome, don't go flaming up City of San Antonio and the Alamodome and Ron Nierenberg about you guys should let them keep the podcast safe. Don't do that. We don't feel that type of way. You guys maybe feel a little bit of that type of way. I'm sure y'all will get over it. Everything will be fine. All that's going to do is make more bad with us in the city, which I think we're on fine terms with the city. I do. The Alamodome just had to protect their brand. And so we're on good terms. It was a mutual parting of ways. So please, guys, stay out of their mentions.
Yeah. And I'll say it too. I mean, we did ask for leniency when rebranding, right? Because we told them like we are an extremely small side business and we can't just go hire people out for 5 digits to go and rebrand us, right? Yeah. So if you guys act like jerks on the internet and track people down and find their LinkedIn and tag them and stuff, they might not be as lenient with us. So please don't do that. I get it. It sucks. We can all complain in unison, but please don't start a witch hunt or any personal campaigns or anything like that.
Please. Yes, please. So we tried to work out being unaffiliated. No, we needed a complete separation. So we said, okay. So we sat down at the table and we said, look, guys, whatever we do, we have to be legit. It has to go through the legitimate channels. If we're going to use something that we create up on our own, we need to make sure that it's not being used anywhere else in the world. And we had these discussions. And even over the years when we were talking about being in possible peril if the Alamodome were to ever discover it, we always sort of had the pivot in our mind of what we would move to. But of course, as we sit here recording on the 187th anniversary of the Battle of the Alamo, to the day, we knew that is very much a sacred, protected name, image, landscape, all of it. But
it's a good NIL right there.
How many times do you drive around the Central Texas area, Bexar County, and see Alamo in front of every single damn business? And like Alamo Car Wash, Alamo Dent Repair, Alamo Paint, Alamo this, Alamo AC, Alamo, it's everywhere. So we knew we got to be able to use this, but we want to make sure we're using it properly. So we went to the Alamo, not physically, but we approached the Alamo. We approached the Daughters of the Republic, and we petitioned to be able to use it with their blessing legitimately. And it was, in fact, signed off upon. And so, though we are no longer Alamodome Audible, we are now Alamo Audible, matching the Twitter app.
Yeah, that's one thing that really plays into our favor is because Twitter restricted the number of characters you can have in your Twitter handle. We never had the Alamodome Audible Twitter handle. We just did Alamo Audible. So inevitably, a lot of people always called us Alamo Audible anyways, because they were so used to seeing it on Twitter. So I hope that adds a huge degree of brand familiarity. So it's not like we're starting from scratch here.
Yes.
Can you imagine if we had to do something completely novel? It would be an uphill battle, I think, for people to associate.
On that, let me just say all of our novel name ideas were god awful, and not that even that they were not even that they were god awful.
They just weren't good.
They were not Alamodome Audible. It's not even close. Like, it's just such a good name that encapsulates perfectly what we try, the material that we try to cover on this podcast. And so there was no pivot that could like really encapsulate that quite as well. Other than Alamo Audible, we get to keep the brand recognition. We get to keep almost all of our namesake, make a couple of small changes, but it just worked out perfectly. And we petitioned to the Alamodome the same day that we got served the cease. I'm sorry, we petitioned to the Alamo the same day we got cease and desist from the Alamodome. We waited a couple of weeks, and sure enough, they turned around and said, "Yes, you may rebrand your podcast."
With some caveats.
With some caveats. So it turns out that as we are able to use the word Alamo, the imagery of the iconic Alamo archways on the roof of the Alamo, the parapet is the proper name of that shape, parapet.
I don't know.
The Alamodome arches, and we're talking about the whole arch, like the arch with the line and then the square down. That whole is called, that silhouette is called a parapet, and the state of Texas owns the parapet. The Alamo owns the parapet. That is a trademarked image that is not allowed to be used by anybody. And I know there's a lot of Alamo businesses that have that parapet up on their neon signs and stuff. They're not allowed to do that. Y'all need to get that thing down and changed out. And unfortunately for us, our beautiful, beautiful icon logo with the microphone underneath the Alamo parapet can no longer be used. Our shirts with the Alamo outline can no longer be used. All of our merch, that all has to be changed if it has the logo on it, icon on it, which it all does have the logo icon on it. So we have to come up with a new logo, and we can no longer use the Alamo parapet, the archways, which is a super, super bummer.
It really is.
Bummer.
Can I just say, I mean, through all of this bad fortune, whatever you want to call it, at least we all learned a new vocab word. Parapet. And
it's like
I got that email and I had to like go Google that, and I was like, what?
I think I had
never seen a parapet in my life. What is that?
I think I heard
exotic
the phrase,
bird species.
It sounds like an exotic bird, doesn't it? The parapet is native to San Antonio.
They keep it locked up in the botanical gardens.
I think I had heard the term in my tour guide days back in the day, but I had like a remembrance moment. Oh, that's what that thing's called.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is that the parapet was not even added to the Alamo until after the Battle of the Alamo. Like,
I didn't know that.
The reason why we remember that building, remember the Alamo, the reason why that structure stands today, and why millions and millions and millions of global visitors visit it every single year, is because of the Battle of the Alamo. And the most iconic imagery of that building was not there during the most iconic moment that building is remembered for. And that's what they trademarked. Trademark the doors or something. The parapet wasn't even there. Trademark the cannon. What are you talking about?
We could use the doors on our merch now. I don't know. But to me, that's been one of the harder pills to swallow. The name change, it's whatever. Like, it's inconvenient, it sucks, but like our new name is arguably better than what we had before.
Correct.
But our icon, our logo is going to be like, man, that has been hard to let go. I love our logo. Aaron is so talented. And it's harder to brand Alamo Audible, but you can't use the Alamo iconic. So,
dude, the parapet.
We ended up with a good logo, but man, that old one is just so special.
It's goated. It's a goated logo. It's totally a goated logo, dude. And that said as well, like, if the worst thing that happened to this production was us losing our logo, we came out pretty well.
The alternatives are a lot worse, right?
A hell of a lot worse. I mean, to end with Alamo Audible, like, this is the absolute most perfect resolution that we could have gotten to. I mean, it is a 99.9% match to what we already were. And so we don't have to change too much. But losing that logo is such a tough pill to swallow, man. I love that damn logo. I love it.
Yeah, me too, man. And there's a lot of work ahead of us, right? I mean, we got to change social media. We got to change the website. In so many places, we got to get new email addresses. We got to replace all of our merch designs, every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
The list goes on and on and on. But it's worth fighting for. You know, like when we first got that letter, man, there's just like that feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's like, what are we doing this for? You know, we have dealt with a lot of like behind the scenes frustrations recently, like through all the growth and all the excitement and all the great stuff we've done. And every time something like that happens, it's like, man, like this is not a full-time thing for us. Like we're making some decent side money off of it to keep us going, but it's not like we're getting rich off this sucker. And we're all really busy in our personal lives. But there was no second guessing. There was no debating whether or not we keep pushing forward. It was just how we do it and how do we do it to continue making a product that you guys, the UTSA community, deserve and can be proud of, right? So like Adrian said, I mean, I think this is the best, most viable outcome for us. And it also gives us a ton of assurance moving forward that everything that we do is going to be on the up and up. I mean, we have always tried to the absolute best of our ability to operate, you know, an ethical operation in accordance with all laws and local
for an underground podcast. We really have tried to.
I know we really tried to dot the I's and cross the T everywhere we can. But, you know, it's hard, dude. Like there are people whose full-time job it is to be trademark attorneys, right? We're just a couple of guys, right?
Right.
So hopefully with this new direction, we can have like some reassurance that everything that we're doing, unless we do something really stupid, is going to be like fine. And we don't have to deal with any lawyers anymore or anything like that. That's my hope, at least. Because I want to get back to doing what I do best, and that is podcasting and writing articles about UTSA football.
That's right.
The amount of time we've had to sink into this stuff is really frustrating to me. And I'm excited and optimistic to move past it and get back to business as usual, even if it's under a new name.
Thank goodness it's coming to an end right here as our pre-season to the AAC sort of takes off here with spring practice coming up. And we'll really be able to wash our hands of this, which, by the way, yes, your spring practice episode is coming later this week. We are going to record it, and it's going to be nothing but UTSA football content, not just on spring practice, but all of the action and the hires and everything that has happened since we won our second conference title back in December to now. There's been a hell of a lot of stuff, a lot of staff changes to go over. Man, yeah. So that's coming, guys. And we will have ridded ourselves of this monkey on our back and we'll be able to focus on that full time. So gladly that it timed out that way. We're glad it didn't happen in the middle of a football season, right?
Lord, that we have told ourselves that many times. I don't know what I would have done.
That would have been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. Man.
I probably would have had to take time off work to address this. Like that's how bad it would have been.
Yeah. And there was like, and we had just released the fifth annual edition of our Domies Awards.
Yeah.
We had just christened our audience as the Dome Heads, this is what we've got to talk about, Jared. This is what the people want to know. We put the press release out on Twitter today that we were changing the name just a few minutes ago. And people want to know, are they still Dome Heads, Jared?
The way I see it is if you were ever a Dome Head, you're always going to be a Dome Head, no matter what, forever. Even after AJ and I are dead into the grave, the spirit of the Dome Head will live on. Now, if we could come up with something that's like the Dome Head, but doesn't have dome in it, I guess that'd be preferable. But I don't foresee that. We might just ride with Dome Head forever as a nice nod back to our history.
It's a nice nod back to our history, and I'm okay with rocking with Dome Head because we're still primarily, well, we cover all UTSA athletics, but we're primarily a UTSA football podcast. That's UTSA football's home stadium. And even if and when they do move to another stadium, it will always be their first home and where they won their first conference title and played their very first football game. I mean, we're always going to be attached to that. Yeah. And so I think Dome Heads is still appropriate for our audience. And I'm fine with keeping it that way. I also want to go ahead and say Alamodome Audible. Oh man, Alamodome Audible did a hell of a lot for UTSA football fans, for the city of San Antonio, for UTSA football coverage. And I don't want to go out of line here, but let me tell you, Alamodome Audible did more for my San Antonians, I think, than the Alamodome ever did for. Maybe besides putting the Spurs in there. I think that was the last time City really felt enamored with the stadium. And that's the only slug I'll throw. Look, when we first got that email, I was ready to drive on over to the municipal courthouse and say some things to City Hall. But man, look, this I think is great. It really, really is. And I'm glad that we're Alamo Audible. Timing is perfect, and we get to announce it on the freaking anniversary of the battle. Pretty epic stuff. So is it a better name? Maybe.
Time will tell. Time will tell, right?
It rolls off the tongue for sure. It's less syllables.
Yeah.
We also really, really like it because Alamodome is only where UTSA plays football, but it's not where they play any of their other sports.
That was a huge benefit of the name change to me. Like, if you've been on our website or on a podcast feed recently, you've seen how much we and Dan mostly have sunk in time and effort into covering UTSA baseball. We are out at, covering basketball,
that's right,
games, softball, everything, right? Like, and even the academic side of UTSA, happenings around San Antonio that are not UTSA related. So this new brand, I think, better aligns with our mission, right? Our mission is not just to be the best UTSA football podcast, though we certainly strive to live up to that every day. But we do a hell of a lot more. Like, we consider ourselves to be an extension of the larger UTSA community, and we want to continue to grow so we can have more bullet points to show that that's what we're doing, and that's what we're building towards. And I think this new name helps because, like, imagine if you're like, for some reason, you're exclusively a UTSA soccer fan. Maybe like you have a child that plays on the team and you see Alamodome Audible on your podcast. You go, oh, they're only going to talk about football.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that to me is one of the huge upsides to this whole thing, is I think it better aligns with our goals and our mission.
That's right. That's right. And that's to cover all of UTSA athletics, the whole realm of it, not just football. And so it does fit the brand mission a little bit better, a little bit more. And, it didn't always start that way. We were always really just kind of talking about football. And over the years, we've really grown and we've expanded that coverage to try to get more sports in there and be better at covering more sports. And so Alamo helps with that a lot. It helps with that a lot. And so now no fans of other sports or players for other sports, parents for other sports, no other sports can feel like they're being alienated here. I mean, this is the UTSA sports podcast, not just the UTSA football podcast, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
I love that. I love that part of it. Yeah. Alamo Audible is perfect for that. Any
other thoughts on the rebranding before we talk about some of our other initiatives that are kind of going on right now?
No. Just us having our work cut out for us for the next couple of weeks as far as rebranding things. So you guys are going to see some dust around the social media, around the website. as we try to redo things and rebuild things.
I'll say we do want to like crowdsource some assistance if you spot outdated references or whatever. But give us a couple of months because it's a lot. It really is.
Everywhere.
And I know that we're going to be finding stuff for years to come of stuff that we forgot to update or whatever. But if it comes summertime and you're seeing the old name, old email, old logo, whatever, just shoot us a message and we'll add it to the list or we'll address it immediately.
Yeah. We've definitely got some work to do on that side of things. And I know you guys haven't heard our voices on the pod for 2 months or a month or two, but believe me, there's been a hell of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears going into the podcast behind the scenes, off the air. Like, you guys wouldn't believe, like, our little message channel that we have. I mean, it's like nonstop every single day. Before we got hit with the cease and desist for Alamodome, before the rebrand, we were doing so much stuff. And then we got hit with this in the middle of it. So all of that work we were in the middle of, we had to pause.
Yep.
And now we have to go back and redo.
Right. Which sucks, dude. It really freaking blows, man. Because we were ready to launch some major stuff, like huge moves for Alamodome Audible.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, we've been putting in, I don't know about you, I've been putting in probably as many hours right now these past 2 months as I do like during football season. I think first and foremost, and got to give Adrian huge props here because he's really been leading in this effort. But we have been telling folks for the longest time that we really wanted to build a real storefront on our website. That was one of the major reasons that we invested so much of our time and money into building out the website that we have now, in the realization that we could put a real store on it, not just our little Teespring website, but a full fleshed out e-commerce platform,
this
as Adrian's calling it.
A long-term plan. Like, we just started building the site a year ago, but when we started building that site, it was like, okay, eventually, once the site is all built out, we are going to build a badass store. We're going to get off of Teespring and build the full-fledged e-commerce platform for you guys. And like this thing has been in the works for years, literally years. Yeah,
I mean, going back to I would say middle of last football season, we were constantly testing out different platforms, different shipping options, different fulfillment centers, different designs. I mean, you name it. Like, we have been working crazy hard on this, and we're about to launch it. I really think all that patience and work and sweat is going to pay off, because the test items that I've gotten have been incredible quality. I mean, we're going to have name brands on our store. We're going to have like Columbia embroidery vest,
Adidas
champion,
Adidas dry fit, the polo dry fit, the shirt dry fit. I mean, you name it, man. All weather material. We got UV protection. We got water resistant rain jacket. We got it. Whatever the weather, whatever stadium you're going to go watch the Roadrunners play in, we've got something for you to rock to it. And
you might be listening and think that doesn't sound cheap. And we'll admit, our stuff is not going to be cheap, because there are cheap places to get UTSA gear. You can go to Target, you can go to HEB's little store, whatever. But there is a huge, massive gap in the UTSA merchandise market where there are not premium options.
Some quality. Quality.
And that's what the role that we're trying to fill, right, is kind of that higher tier of stuff, not just like shirts to wear when you work out or whatever, but stuff that like you grab because you just want a nice piece to wear with your outfit, not necessarily like, oh, this is like a UTSA item that I just want to show off UTSA.
Because it's fly, it's fashionable, it's steezy. Absolutely, yes, it's
steezy.
That's what
Alamo Audible. You're home for steezy UTSA apparel.
It is, and it is.
I'm about to turn 32. I don't even know what steezy means.
Dude, I'm telling you though, it's like it is really nice premium Roadrunners gear, and it is not cheap for us. And so like the prices that you see, guys, like we are not upcharging, like we're not making a whole lot of profit on these items.
I actually saw Yeah, I actually saw a report of like our first month of orders. So these are like mostly just test items with us and our friends, and we were negative on that. Like we lost money on those.
We're trying to protect the customers so badly.
Yeah. So don't think that just because maybe some of the price tags are high is that we're raking in the dough here. It's just like, good merch costs a lot of money these days. I mean, we've done a lot of market analysis of looking at other outlets and what they're charging for these level of items, and we feel like we're pretty spot on, if not like a little bit lower than stuff. And
absolutely.
Some of the items that I've seen, I'm like, man, we could easily charge more than this, and it wouldn't feel like a ripoff at all. But we want to find that sweet spot.
We're trying to protect you guys. We're trying to make it, where you can get a premium item, and it's standard market prices. I mean, it would what you see if you went and got the same thing at a shopping mall or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we're really not racking in a whole lot of dough. I mean, some of those items might get ticked up a dollar or two over the months as we try to figure out what our budget sheet looks like, because it's a whole new world for us. And Jared, the patience, I think, is really what's the most rewarding here, dude. I mean, there was a time where we kind of wanted to get it out before the kickoff of the football season, but it was just so frantic and rapid. And then there were times we were going to roll it out like in the middle of the football season. And we were like Jared was saying, we were trying and testing all these different places. We had a store that we thought was going to be the one. Middle of the football season, turned out it was not the right answer at all. And so we had to have this massive.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit. I mean, I think people would be interested to know. I mean, that other vendor that we had selected to do our merch through, the quality of stuff was just not quite there. It was good enough, but every item that we got was just a little bit underwhelming. Right.
Slightly.
And that's not to say that every item we do on our new store is going to be an absolute home run. Right. I mean, let's be real. Just like a big box retailer, like they're going to have some duds too. Right. But we want to make sure that we have a high degree of confidence that everything we put out is super high quality.
That's right.
And also that other vendor that we selected, and we're probably like a week away from rolling out live to the dome heads. As we found out their shipping processes were super screwy, and people were going to get charged like double shipping and stuff like that.
You're going to have to pay a shipping on each individual item.
Yeah. And we were just like, man, we can't do business like this. This is just not the way to go. So
we scrapped it. We scrapped it.
Right. And I hope it all pays off, but I just want to give that anecdote as an example of the concrete ways that we are like really busting our asses to make sure that you guys have a nice quality experience. 100%. And don't feel like you're getting jerked around.
100%, man. Yeah, we wanted to get it out for the fans. We wanted to get it out for us. We saw the other UTSA apparel stores printing dollars out there. We were like, man, look, we got to get this thing rolled out. But we put the pause button on it and said, let's roll it out the right way. Let's roll out the best damn store we can with the best damn products that we can. And so that's where we are now. We're in the off season, and dude, I've spent a lot of hours, couple of days probably on building out the store, and it looks freaking awesome, and it's ready to go. And then we can't use the arches anymore on our logo and on our imagery.
I know, man. It's rough.
We have a whole collection of that store that is like featuring the parapet. It's like
not just like the little logo icon on the back of the shirt. It is like the design.
It is the design of the shirt is the damn Alamodome parapet. So yeah, like there's a lot now. So the store is still on pause. If you're a Patreon, you can go in there and get some access and get a couple things with the old branding on it while you still can, and while I go in there and change it out. So it is we have had a soft opening for our subscribers. If you're a subscriber, you have access to it. If you subscribe today, you'll get access to it. The actual public launch, it's shelved for a couple more weeks. We wanted to have it this month in March. No guarantee it's going to happen. It's still our goal to do that. No guarantee it's going to be ready by the end of March, because we have to change out a lot of the designs. We have to change out the logo on every single damn item. Yeah.
Yeah, so, we have, since we did the soft launch to Patreon subscribers, we have run into a couple unforeseen issues, which are nothing like super major. We're getting them addressed, but that's why we're trying to be really patient and deliberative with it, because we waited months to build this storefront out. So we don't want to rush it out premature and have a bad launch after waiting so long to do it the right way.
That's right. And our soft launch is kind of like a beta testing, right? Yeah. We're trying to make sure everything's working right at the store, because I might make an order and everything goes well, and Jared might make an order and everything goes well, but then our very first customer will buy something and something goes wrong. So we're trying to have this extended soft launch and figure out all of those kinks before it goes out to you guys, and you guys get a very good store to go into the American conference in.
Yeah, yes. And you Patreon subscribers who have already submitted orders or hope to do so in the near future, please do share your feedback with us, like whether that's directly through email or in a DM or whatever, positive or negative. Like, we want to hear it all. There's some stuff that we can change and probably make better. Some stuff we're just going to have to bite the bullet and roll with, right? Because again, we just, it's not our full-time jobs. Like, we do have to outsource quite a bit.
Yeah.
But we want to hear from you guys, like what was great, what was frustrating, whatever. And we'll do our best to address those as quickly as we can, and make sure that our public launch is ironclad and awesome. And I'm really excited. It's like fully integrated into our website, man. It's gonna be great.
The store looks freaking badass, guys. It looks so awesome. The products are great. Y'all are going to love it when it rolls out. Stay tuned. It'll get here. If you just can't wait another second, subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah.
You get access now. And
you get a coupon too.
Yeah, your Patreon discount will damn sure get you your $5 back on the subscription. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if you're interested in the merch, it essentially pays for itself, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm super thrilled, man. Adrian, I want to say thanks again for all that you've done. Aaron, of course, behind the scenes, pumping out, updating designs.
Oh man, we need to just hold on for a second and talk about Aaron. Yeah, I know we mentioned him a couple of times in passing, but you know, this is the third man of the podcast, the voice that you do not hear. And that is Aaron, our creative director, the graphic design guru, Adobe mastermind. Is just incredible work that he puts out. I'm sure everyone's seen his edits on the Twitter once or twice, maybe on a My Essay article once or twice. Speaking of Battle of the Alamo, he had his Remember the Alamo uniforms. I think those got some run in My Essay a couple of years back. So that's our graphics guy. He's the one that has come up with the beautiful iconic parapet with the microphone, our great icon logo, all of our word marks, the previous renditions of the logo. There's been about 3 of them. He goes back to the very original one where we were using the silhouette of the Alamodome steeples before we were using the silhouette of the Alamo archways, which I don't think the steeples are trademarked, by the way. Yeah. And so we've got, he does such good work, man. And he's just got a hell of a lot thrown onto his plate all at the exact same time with a full rebrand. We were launching a store, so he was already tasked with that sort of thing. Now he's got to redo everything he made for the store. He's got to redo the logo, which he's done. We've got the beautiful new logo. If you see our press release, which he also did the graphics for, I mean, he does it all, man. So just a tremendous shout out to Aaron, the absolute graphics goat, bro.
Yeah, man, really can't thank him enough. And, you know, I've consulted with a lot of close friends throughout these past couple of weeks and months through all the stress that we've been through and, you know, all the challenges that we faced. And I mean, I don't need or want to name names. You guys know who you are, but I just want to say thanks to my inner circle for helping guide us along the way. And, you know, we do have some other big decisions and big changes coming to the podcast, which we're not quite ready to announce yet.
Yep. But
big moves that I think people are going to be really pleased with, but are also big changes. And any big change is scary to us, right? We're always thinking, is this the right thing for us to do to our listeners and our patrons, right? Like those are the 2 things that are just top of mind for us every single day. And that's just not PR. I mean, we really and truly feel that. And, you know, sometimes when I'm talking to my inner circle and people that know us and get what we do here, sometimes they're like, God, you guys are being ridiculous. Like y'all are overthinking it. Just follow this opportunity or whatever. But man, I mean, I just want to kind of wrap up with like, stay tuned, big things coming, you know, generic, whatever. But ultimately, I want to say thank you to all of you that are supporting us and have supported us for 8 years in a lot of cases. The Patreon subscribers, the financial backers, big money donors, board of trustees members. Thank you. Honestly, I say it all the time. We would not be here today without the Patreon subscribers. Like, I mean, I would have thrown the towel in a long time ago, and you guys keep me motivated and keep me going, man. So thanks. Thanks so much.
So encouraging and so incredible to see, man. And really can't put it into words, but we made the name change announcement to our Patreons a couple weeks ago, or last week, and just the amount of feedback of, doesn't matter what the name is, we're going to listen anyways.
Yeah.
You know, we listen to podcasts, ride or die, right? And that is, you know, that's just
put a lump in
awesome.
my throat, you know, to read those comments, man. It was really
cool.
reassuring.
So cool, man. It's incredible. It really is. And so big shout out, big thank you, much appreciation to every single person that listens, to every person that subscribes. Love you guys. Couldn't do it without you guys. Wouldn't do it without you guys. So thank you.
There's only one way to sign off. And I think we both know well, I don't know. Did we both know what we're going to say to sign off? Can we say it in unison without discussing it?
I think so.
Let's try it.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Alamodome Audible forever.
Forever.